Selena Gomez has been in headlines for years, but this time, the story attached to her name is nothing like the usual Hollywood drama. It's not about her music, her acting, or even her personal life. It's about a company she co-founded, Wondermind, a mental health startup that promised compassion, healing, and honesty. And now it's suddenly facing accusations of unpaid wages, canceled benefits, and internal chaos that no one saw coming. Fans are stunned. Employees are frustrated, and the internet wants answers. How did a company built on mental wellness end up in crisis? And what role did Selena actually play in all of this? To understand the collapse, you have to go back to why Wondermind existed in the first place. When the company launched in 2021, the idea sounded almost perfect. Selena and her mom, Mandy, spoke openly about their personal mental health struggles. Anxiety, depression, therapy, loneliness, and wanted to build a space where people could feel less alone. Not a self-help app, not a product line, a real support system built on honesty and vulnerability. The concept landed instantly. Investors loved the mission. Fans trusted Selena. The media called it refreshing and necessary. And with only $5 million in funding, Wondermind was suddenly valued at $100 million, a massive number that came with massive expectations. For a moment, everything seemed to click. Wondermind put out podcasts, essays, interviews, real conversations about topics people were afraid to talk about. The branding felt modern and warm. The mission felt authentic. And because Selena was involved, the company became a symbol of hope before it even had time to grow. But even during this rise, tension was building behind the scenes. The first major shift happened in 2023, when co-founder Daniela Pearson quietly left the company. No drama, no public statement, just an exit that insiders say changed everything. With Daniela gone, Mandy stepped in as the full CEO. She cared deeply about the mission, but running a fast-growing startup requires a very specific kind of leadership. One built on strategy, management, and financial discipline. That's when things reportedly started slipping. Employees later said Mandy turned down major partnerships, including a big deal with Airbnb, if Selena wouldn't be personally involved. These weren't small opportunities. These were deals worth millions, the kind that could extend a startup's runway and prevent exactly the kind of crisis Wondermind ended up facing. And while all of this was happening, Selena herself wasn't involved in daily operations. Not because she didn't care, but because she was busy juggling acting, producing, Rare Beauty, and her music career. She was the face of the company, not the operator. Still, everyone assumed her presence alone meant everything was under control. Then, in early 2025, the entire picture shattered. Employees suddenly stopped receiving their paychecks. Not late, not delayed a few hours, completely missing. At the same time, health benefits, including dental and vision, were canceled with almost no notice. For a mental wellness company, the irony was painful. Mandy emailed the staff explaining that a late payment from an investor caused the delay and promised the money was coming soon. She asked employees to temporarily switch to COBRA coverage, meaning they had to pay the entire premium upfront themselves with a promise of later reimbursement. But days passed, then weeks, and the money still didn't arrive. That's when layoffs hit hard. According to Forbes, almost 2/3 of Wondermind's employees were suddenly let go, leaving only 4 people behind. Projects were canceled. Mental Health Awareness Month plans were scrapped. And internally, people felt lost. The mission that once inspired them now felt like a hollow promise they couldn't trust. With fear spreading inside the company, attention turned to Selena. Online, fans demanded answers. Why isn't she stepping in? Is she ignoring the crisis? Does she not care? But the truth wasn't simple. Forbes reported that Selena met the team only once in 3 years, which fueled the narrative that she was disconnected. But then, People magazine published something completely different, that Selena had actually invested millions of her own money to keep the company alive as soon as she learned about the financial meltdown. She wasn't ignoring the crisis. She was quietly trying to save the company without taking the spotlight away from her mother. These conflicting stories created even more confusion. Employees didn't know what to believe. Fans didn't know which version was real. And through all of it, the company continued to spiral. Behind the scenes, Wondermind was depending heavily on a massive Series B funding round, supposedly worth between $20 and $30 million. That money was meant to fix payroll, rebuild staff, and stabilize operations. Employees were told it was coming, investors talked about it, leadership planned around it, but the money never came. The funding delays pushed the company to the edge. And in a dramatic attempt to keep Wondermind afloat, Mandy reportedly took a personal loan against her home. It showed commitment, but it also showed desperation. And even that wasn't enough to solve all the issues quickly. The deeper problem wasn't just missing paychecks or delayed funding, it was trust. People joined Wondermind because they believed in its mission. Now they were watching the foundation crack beneath them, while the world assumed everything was fine simply because Selena Gomez's name was attached. This raised a bigger question, one that hangs over every celebrity startup. Who's actually responsible when things fall apart? Is it the celebrity founder whose name drives attention? The CEO making the decisions? The investors who created unrealistic valuations? Or the system that expects celebrities to be superhuman leaders? Wondermind's story doesn't point to one villain. It points to a perfect storm: missed deals, financial mismanagement, unrealistic expectations, investor delays, and a mission too big for the structure supporting it. Selena wasn't the day-to-day operator. Mandy wasn't a seasoned startup CEO. Investors expected rapid growth that didn't happen. Employees believed in a mission that wasn't backed by stable systems. In the end, Wondermind became a mental fitness brand, struggling to keep its own team mentally and financially safe. Yet the mission itself, the idea of honest mental health conversations, didn't fail. What failed was the execution, the communication, the leadership, and the pressure of running a $100 million company with the public watching every move. So now the question is, what happens next? Wondermind isn't technically shut down. Selena hasn't stepped away. New funding could still arrive. A rebuild is possible. But the optimism around the brand has shifted into uncertainty, leaving fans wondering whether this is the end of the journey or the moment before an unexpected comeback. Because sometimes, in the world of celebrity startups, the most powerful stories aren't the ones about success. They're the ones about what survives after everything falls apart.